Even if you rarely watch the news, you should know that there's been some troubles in the recent years in the relationships inside international organizations and regarding to the respect of international treaties. We have seen everything. We have seen European countries that wanted to go out from the European Union. We have seen the United States of America and Israel leaving the UNESCO. Again, the United States of America sending strong messages both to NATO and to NAFTA, their commercial agreement with Mexico and Canada. All these facts should remind us of a conflict between international law and internal law, and the question if international law it is or it is not a limitation of national sovereignty and democracy. And this is a serious and important question because international treaties become a more and more and more and more used way to produce law in this globalized world. We cannot afford to be superficial about that and say that it's just an argument for populist people. So there are two ways to rationally answer to this question. The first one is a big no, and the second one is a big yes. Okay. So the reason why we should answer no is that it's the state that negotiates the deal, the treaty. It's the state that signs the treaty. And so the state, by doing that, the state is recognized as the main actor, if not the only one, but surely the main actor of international relations and international organizations and international law. And the same adjective that we use for law, organization, treaties is international, which means that the state is at the center. All this is state-centric. The nations are the main actors of these relationships and these treaties. So by signing the treaty, the state is confirmed as the authority that is able to produce and so to put in effect these laws. At the same time, the reason why we can answer yes to the question if international law it is a limitation of national law is the principle, one of the main and probably the most important principle of international law, which is the principle of the primacy of international law. So the primacy that international law has over national law. Now, there's a treaty that is the Convention of Vienna on International Law, also called the Treaty on Treaties. That is the most used and important conventional instrument in treaty laws. This treaty does not explicitly declare that international law prevails over national law. There's an article, Article 24, which is about the entry into force, that specifies that a party to a treaty cannot invoke the provisions of its internal law as justifying the execution of a treaty. An objection to the thesis that sustains that this primacy of international law it's a limitation of national sovereignty and national law could be that, first of all, treaties are signed by the states, and so if the state doesn't want to sign it, it's not obliged to. And but the problem is more about democracy than it is about sovereignty, because there are treaties that are just signed by the executive power of a country and do not need to be ratified. But the fact is this doesn't depend on international law. This depends on internal rules of each and every state. So a way to make international law more democratic would be to impose the ratification of treaties from parliaments, and the people representative organs that are in each state, in each democratic state. But the cost of this, and the reason why this is not being done, is that would take much more time, and so the effectiveness of international law would be much more reduced, and not only by that, but also from the fact that much less states would agree in the end. As always, there are two sides of the medal, and we need to see both as objectively as possible. There are always costs and always opportunities, and we need to balance them. Guys, I hope to have clarified something about this topic. If you have any idea, opinion, facts, write it in the comment section. I would be very happy to read it. And see you in the next video.